First of all, thank you for coming. It's a real pleasure and honor to be the first ever speaker at the Serious Waffle Session. My topic tonight is 3 happiness myths that prevent you from being happy. So to start with, I would like to involve you and to tell me what you think makes a happy life, or what makes you happy, what are criteria for happiness. You can just shout, don't be shy.
Chocolate.
Chocolate, okay. Friends. Sorry? What was the last one?
Red wine.
Red wine, chocolate, and okay. Food and beverage.
Wine, I think.
My culture, my upbringing.
Your culture, your upbringing, okay.
The family.
Family.
Purpose.
Purpose. Okay. Something else? Health, maybe. Friends, social connections, I guess. Okay. Well, I'm not sure, but I would guess that many of you are actually not from Brussels, right? So you left your family and your friends and your social connections, and you came to sunny Brussels because it's so healthy to be here, right? Okay, you have food and wine, I agree on that. Purpose, I'm not sure, that depends probably on the person. But well, actually, it looks a little bit to me like you're a little bit cheating on yourself. I think I know what actually makes you happy. Actually, what I think why you came to Brussels and you wanted to be happy is you wanted an interesting job, preferably working 60 to 80 hours in it, right? You wanted a little house in the suburbs, a fancy car, well, maybe this one, a little family, some regular shopping, and of course you wanted to be healthy and good looking and have a perfect smile. Well, maybe more like this. Well, why I'm saying this? Well, I wanted just to make clear that sometimes we have a very clear opinion of what makes us happy, but then we pursue a way that doesn't really makes us happy. Of course, there are economic circumstances and purpose and a job and so on you have to follow, but sometimes still there's this discrepancy that we show. And actually I've shown the same discrepancy in my life, and I have been changing the country or the job, and every now and then I became unhappy and I changed again. And actually a couple of years ago I really felt bad about myself, and it was for the first time that I felt like, oh, I need some external help. And that's not easy, especially as a man. If you're a real man, I mean, you handle the stuff yourself, right? We are more like the MacGyvers and Rambos of emotions, so you're saying like, okay, you can cut off the arm, I don't really need it, right? So I started doing mindfulness and meditation, and I got a life coach and went to psychotherapy and did readings about positive psychology, and that was all really nice, and there's a lot of good and helpful stuff out there. And Ruth and Andy gonna talk about it a little bit later. And then I took again the decision, okay, I have to change something in my life. But I said, okay, why can I not just be happy? What prevents me from being unhappy again in another year or two? And in all the readings and the stuff that I had seen, there were always the same 3 things coming up, the 3 same misconceptions about happiness, and I found them so important and I would like to talk about them tonight. And the first misconception is actually that happiness is like a natural state or a human right. It's like you give humans food, water, shelter, loving connections, and they're gonna be happy. It's like saying the natural state of the weather is a light, sunny spring afternoon. You know, it's not true. It's simply not true. The weather is changing. In the summer it's hotter, in the winter it's colder, it's rainy, especially here in Brussels. Sometimes it's windy or stormy, and so are your emotions, right? Your mood is changing. It's a never-ending change of emotions. Nor is happiness really a right. Originally, happiness has always been more connected to divine favor or luck. In fact, in every Indo-European language, the word for happiness comes from the word for luck. So the Old Norse and Old English word hap, which is the root for happiness, means luck or good chance, and so does the French word heure, giving us bonheur, good luck and happiness. And in German, it's still the same today. We have glücklich sein or Glück haben, which means be happy or having luck, right? So there were, of course, other concepts and perspectives about happiness, for example, in Roman and Greek philosophy, where there was virtuous happiness, eudaimonia, that was more linked to something connected with struggle, effort, and possibly pain. And for those philosophers, happiness was not about something that put a smile on your face, but it was rather something that would indeed a good deal of pain. And then later on you had some religious ideas about happiness. For example, in Christianity you have three ways to be happy. Either you were living in the Golden Age with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. I'm sorry, that's over. Then you have, of course, the time when Christ returns and establishes the kingdom of God. That's probably a little bit too far in the future for us. And then, of course, you could meet God in heaven, which I would call happiness by death. So not a very nice option either. So in that sense, the era of the European Enlightenment and of the American independence was really a happiness revolution, because it's in that time that the French encyclopedia, the Bible of the European Enlightenment, declares everyone has the right to be happy. It's in that time that Thomas Jefferson declares the pursuit of happiness to be a self-evident truth, and his colleague George Mason in the Virginia Declaration of Rights speaks about pursuing and obtaining happiness as a natural endowment and right. Over time, however, this new concept about happiness as a given right has made happiness into something that was not gained through moral comportment, but that could be consumed, purchased, or caught somewhere outside, out there, that you could get. And that brings me to happiness myth number 2, which is very closely related to that. Being happy means you're feeling good all the time. Well, if you think about your relationships with your closest ones, with your parents, with your friends, with your partners or your kids, obviously they give you a lot of good emotions, but they're also a source for difficulties and fight and conflict. Let's say, look at your children, for example. If you have some, you probably know they're going to give you fulfillment, meaning, and purpose, but they also create a lot of other emotions in you. If you want, you can name some of them, if you dare to, but probably they are feelings like anxiety, or guilt, or frustration, or anger, or rage, you know. And you love these people, you know, these little human things, they belong to you, you love them, but still they create a lot of negative emotions in you. And then there's a second point. You cannot kill the negative emotions without killing the positive ones. So by trying not to feel the bad emotions, you deprive yourself of feeling the good ones. So by, for example, trying to drink alcohol or smoking marijuana or whatever your thing is, you actually deprive yourself from feeling the good emotions. They are all there and they are all part of you, and you cannot kill the bad ones without killing the good ones. And actually there's one more thing, and there's actually a natural biological point that doesn't allow you to be happy all the time. And I will give you again a choice, and you can tell me what you want to do. Tell me who you want to be. The option number 1 is you can win the lottery. You can win several $100 million or euros in the lottery. And the second one is you become paraplegic, so you become paralyzed, you cannot walk anymore. If you need a minute to think about that, okay, your choice, that's fine. Okay, so I guess most of you would go for the lottery. The funny thing is they have made scientific studies about this, and 1 year after the event, each of these two persons is as happy as before. And that has to do with mainly 2 factors. I will have written them down here, but you don't have to read them. One is called impact bias. It's the tendency to overestimate how an event or experience in the future will affect our emotional well-being for better or worse. Actually, it means our brain is like a simulator. To give you a little idea, if you go out with your girlfriend or your boyfriend and you want to invite him for an ice cream, and they have on the menu, they have ice cream with the taste of ham and sauerkraut, you know, you don't have to try out to know it's yucky. You know, you don't have to try out to know it doesn't taste very good. So we have this simulator in our brain, but for many things it doesn't really work that well. So if you win the lottery, you think, oh, I'm gonna be happy till the end of my days. While 1 year after, actually, you are as miserable as you were before. And if there's some... You would like to try. Good. And in the same way, we overestimate actually negative events. Very often you have this girl, for example, saying, oh, if this guy breaks up with me, it's the end of my life. I don't want to live anymore. And then 6 months later, she has the time of her life dancing all night long and having fun. So our simulator about events is not really good. And this is also linked actually very closely to the second one, which is called hedonic adaptation. It's our ability to adapt to changes in our life circumstances, in our sensory experiences. And that doesn't mean anything, but we are masters of adaptation. I mean, if you see us as a race, Homo sapiens, we are not the strongest, we are not the fastest, we don't have big teeth or big claws, but we have conquered the whole planet. From East Africa, where we come from, to the Arctic, from the jungle to the desert, we have gone everywhere because we can adapt to all circumstances very well. That also means, of course, when you win the lottery, you get used to the money quite quickly, or to your new girlfriend, which suddenly isn't as pretty as she used to be.
Sascha, the number, the period, a year, is that research?
Yes.
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 Is that
Yeah.
the benchmark?
Yeah. Well, they did a study, and there was that after 1 year they were as happy or unhappy as they were before. Which brings me to happiness myth number 3. If you are not happy, you are defective. Meaning if you are wrong, if you're not happy, there's something wrong with you and you need medication. It's obviously something very good for the pharmaceutical industry, but otherwise I can tell you there's nothing wrong with you if you're not happy. Actually, it's not normal to be happy all the time. Again, I will give you an example. Somebody has died, you're invited to the funeral, and you come up and you're very happy and you're smiling the whole time. I guess most people are rather be gonna very disturbed and probably very angry at you, because there's simply no reason to be showing a lot of contentment around there. On the contrary, not being able to have the full range of emotions or having healthy emotions, is actually more connected to sociopathic behavior. So the next time there's this nice guy at work that always smiles on you and he asks you out, be careful, right? Which actually brings you directly to the second point. Also a question for you actually, for both men and women, especially for the women, I think. Who do you take, the nice guy or the challenge? Usually I think, well, at least in the beginning you go for the challenge until you learn better and you take the nice guy. But the thing is that things that we get easy, well, we say easy come, easy go, right? You don't appreciate things that come easily to you as much as the things you have worked for very hard. Actually, the reward circuit in our brain and our society even promotes that things that we have earned in a hard way give us more pleasure. And then there's one last final point. Life can be difficult, right? Life can be difficult. Who of you needs more pain? Who of you needs more suffering? Who thinks life is too easy? No one. Usually. I have not seen many people raising their arms and saying, please, let me suffer a little bit more. And yeah, that's simply the fact. Life can be difficult. And to sum it up for you, happiness is neither a natural state nor a right. It's nothing to be consumed, pursued, or caught. Being happy does not mean feeling good all the time. It's rather meaning having a meaningful, rich life where you have the full range of emotions, and you are not defective if you're not happy. Life can be difficult. Thank you very much.